So the camera didn't capture it too well, but that was right in the middle of the keyhole, was a perfectly framed St. Peter's Basilica of the Vatican. Now, St. Peter's Basilica we visited a few days ago, and Vatican is not the only sovereign state inside Rome. A lot of people know Vatican is its own country, but there's technically another country within Rome. No, not Italy, but within Rome. And it's right here. However, unlike the Vatican, which is a country that is very small by territory, this country is the smallest of them all. This country has 0 territory whatsoever, but still a sovereign country nonetheless. And this is their embassy. I'm Ariel with Urbanists, and today we're going to explore the mysteries of the Eternal City, episode number 4. And we're going to explore who is this mysterious order that dates back to the Crusades. And we're going to go and see the Mouth of Truth, a very fun tourist attraction that people have been doing ever since Audrey Hepburn slid her hand inside of it in Roman Holiday. And then after that, we're going to learn about a man who was emperor, who completely erased his own brother from history. Let's walk around right now, Santa Sabina, and this beautiful Aventine Hill. Hello, Gretchen. Hello, Marilyn. Hello, Kay. Hello, everyone. Let me know where you're watching from. So everyone's lining up to see the keyhole. I wish I could have captured it on camera. However, there was no way. I did not expect the camera to not be able to properly focus through it. But maybe I'll come back and take another photo with it. The hole's pretty big, so I might do like a 360 photo with it. And hello, Christine. Welcome. Nice to see you here. So right over here, we have an indication of what this area, who it belongs to. That is what is called the Maltese Cross. "1,000 years ago, during the Crusades, an order was established, an order by the soldiers who were fighting mostly from the Mediterranean. They came mostly from Italy and other parts in this general area. And they wanted to take care of the sick and injured while the Crusades were happening. To do this, they had to build their hospitals in forts. And thus started the Order of Malta. Now, at that time, they weren't called the Order of Malta. That came later. But they had to defend those hospitals. So within those hospital forts, they became knights. They were soldiers, completely clad in armor, and they established an order that would reign for 1,000 years. Right here is the Maltese Order. Now, why is it called the Order of Malta if they started in Jerusalem? Well, it's because at first they started in Jerusalem. Then they switched over to an island right by Rhodes in Greece. And then they went over to Malta. And once they were established in Malta, they actually end up owning various Caribbean islands. They got an official decree by the Pope, and they were allowed to be an official order of the Roman Catholic Church. But when they were decreed by the Pope as an official order, this wasn't like the Jesuits, or the Franciscans, or the Capuchins, or the Benedictines, who are actually right by here as well. No, the Pope declared this order its own sovereign nation. Yep, its own very state, just like the Vatican is its own country. And to this day, the UN, the United Nations, recognizes the Order of Malta as its own state. It has its own army. It has about 800 people who have passports, Maltese Order of Malta passports. And also they have their own license plates. And they're located right here in this general area. This is one of their embassies. However, they have embassies all around the world. But who are the members of the Order of Malta? So where are we located right now? We are right on Aventine Hill, behind the Roman Forum. We're going to see a little peek at the Roman Forum as we're headed to other lesser known spots right by it. So since I couldn't focus properly through the keyhole, which is a shame, but I'll post a photo later on. I'm going to show you the view that was through the keyhole, perfectly framed by the keyhole and a bunch of vines. Hello, Ian. Morning from Rome. Welcome. Nice to see you here. Hello, Tanya. Nice to see you here too. Oh, look at these trees. Wow. They're massive. Hello, Lou. Yes, I'm feeling very good. If you don't follow my personal profile, you might not know that yesterday I did a live video from my personal profile about eating at a great restaurant in the Vatican area, and I drank a nice half bottle of wine. That it was so cheap, I didn't realize it was going to be an entire half bottle. And I'm feeling very good. So right here is the view that was perfectly enclosed by that little keyhole. That's why people were lining up for it. That is St. Peter's Basilica. Now, it is no coincidence that the Order of Malta actually built their door, their main door, with a little keyhole that faces directly towards St. Peter's. Because the Order of Malta is very closely related to St. Peter's. And no, I woke up completely fresh. No headache, no hangover. I drank a whole lot of water, to be honest. In Italian restaurants, they usually serve you a massive bottle of water, and it only costs about €1 to €150. Oh. Sorry, I gotta adjust my camera. Uh-oh. Sorry about that, everyone. Just had to adjust my camera. Thank you so much, Luz. How do you follow? You can find me, Ariel Vieira. That's my profile. I don't accept friends requests. I only accept friend requests from people I know personally, but you are free to follow me on my personal profile. So here is the compound of the Order of Malta. Now, you can only go in via guided tour, and guided tours are rare. A lot of people don't do them. It's a very hard place to enter because they're a very kind of secretive society. And the Order of Malta has appeared before in our Roman adventure when we talked about Caravaggio and his great escape to Malta to become a knight in order to be forgiven by the Pope because he had a bounty on his head. However, that backfired on him as he got into an altercation with one of the Knights of the Order, and he was subsequently chased out of Malta. But who are the members of the Maltese Order? Well, no one knows for sure. We know who the leader is because he communicates a lot with the Pope, similar to the leader of the Jesuits. and the leader of the Franciscans, etc., etc., etc. There's a bunch of orders within the Roman Catholic Church. But the members themselves, completely secret list. No one knows who are all the members of the Maltese order. They don't need to be priests. They don't need to be friars or monks. But they do have to take a vow of chastity, a vow of poverty, and also they do have to be humanitarian. So they have to do a lot of work with caring for the sick or setting up hospitals and a bunch of other things. And the Maltese order has been running ever since for 1,000 years. But they're very unique because they have way more autonomy than even the Jesuits or even the Benedictines or the Franciscans. They are kind of like a autonomous entity within the Roman Catholic Church. And I think the Roman Catholic Church likes them that way because in a way they can kind of operate outside of the bureaucracy of the Catholic Church itself. So what is within these walls? Well, probably a bunch of administrative buildings. But who is behind these walls? No one truly knows. And there are conspiracies that some great politicians of the US have been members, knights of the Order of Malta. People such as George W. Bush, people have claimed that he was a knight of the Order of Malta. I doubt that. But no one really knows who these men are. And that intrigues me. So a country without any territory, you just have embassies. Jeff, welcome. Hello, Luz, gracias. Thank you. I'm glad you're saying I'm doing well. And Girolama, I already visited Santa Maria de la Angeli the other day. We'll be visiting another Santa Maria today because we have more Santa Marias. So I wonder if we can see this Maltese, Order of Malta, not Maltese, because Malta is also its own country. Order of Malta is a different country, not Malta. I wonder if we can find the Order of Malta license plate. They have like a little red mark on the side. That's their official colors. It's red and white. This is the European Union. Order of Malta is not part of the European Union. However, it is represented in the UN. They don't have any official vote. However, they are official observers of the UN, similar to the Vatican. And it's big, beautiful walls. Yeah, I agree. Big, huge walls in one of the most expensive areas in all of Rome. There's Aventine Hill. This is the home of the rich. So they are an order that has a lot of money. However, the members themselves have to take a vow of poverty. Kind of similar to the Jesuits. Not like the Franciscans that don't tend to flaunt their wealth as much as the Order of Malta or the Jesuits. So here is the San Sabina Church, the official church of the Order of Malta. Let's see if we can go inside. So Basilica San Sabina. It's a basilica because I think the bishop of the Order of Malta sits here. And here we are, San Sabina, the official church in this embassy of the Order of Malta. It's huge. It's going to be one of 3 churches we're going to visit today. And yeah, the Order of Malta supplies ambulances all around the world. Oh, that's awesome that you've seen them before, Kate. I actually never seen the Order of Malta knight or ambulance before. So I wonder how they look like. actually glad we're able to enter because apparently I was reading that it's usually closed off to the public. I hear music. I hear Titanic's My Heart Will Go On. Let's investigate. Someone's playing My Heart Will Go On. Oh, wow. So the Order of Malta has just become more mysterious. Let my heart go on playing somewhere. We have the symbol of the Order of Malta here as well. They have the lamb, the sacrificial lamb, on their sigil. Thank you. Always remember to be keeping awesome. Always keep on exploring. So one of the tour groups I told you about. Wow, this is beautiful. Look at these huge, gorgeous trees. So Aventine Hill, one of the 7 hills of Rome. Well, technically Rome has more than 7 hills, but classically in ancient times, no one really knows what precisely were all the 7 hills, but Aventine was one of them. So remember this guy because we'll be seeing the official one soon. Hello, Helga. Hello, Janice, watching from Puerto Rico. Welcome. And look at these very, very old walls. I'm not entirely sure how far they date back, but we're going to see things that are much, much older. Gotcha. Who are you talking about? So this is Aventine Hill. Now we're going to walk down towards the Circus Maximus. And we're going to see what used to be the largest Colosseum in all of ancient Rome. The entire empire was gigantic. And if I say the number now, you won't believe me. But if I say the number as we approach it, I think maybe, just maybe, you'll believe me. Let's go. There's a lot of like little parks all around here, so I highly recommend kind of taking your time to explore Aventine Hill. Hola, Yamina, welcome. If you're tuning in for the first time, let me know where you're watching from. I'm Ariel with Urbanist. Okay, brace yourselves. Hey Helga, you got your tote. It's beautiful. You'll take it with you to your next trip in Washington, D.C. Oh, amazing, Helga. Take a photo with it and post it on the group Urbanists of the World. So glad you got your tote. If you don't know what Helga is referring to, I have merchandise. I have official t-shirts and other goodies like tote bags, mugs with the Urbanist logo. It'll be the first limited edition collection. I'll soon be doing a Rome edition and then a Paris edition and then more and more different types of collections. Look how beautiful this is. Lots of green space in all the outskirts of Rome. Unlike New York City, where the greenery tends to be right smack dab in the center with Central Park and a bunch of the other parks, you know, Union Square, Madison Square. And Paris, they tend to be scattered all around. London is another city where a lot of the parks tend to be kind of towards the center. Rome is the opposite. Rome is towards the perimeter of the city. That's where you'll find a lot of the green spaces. And this is just among the smaller ones. There's massive, massive parks when you go further out. Hello, Mildred from New York. Welcome. I did it. I tagged you on IG. We'll post it to the group. Oh, awesome. I'll be sure to check it out, and awesome that you'll be posting it to the group. So here we're starting to see the backside of the Roman Forum, which I'll be visiting October 16th at 3 p.m. Stay tuned for that. However, there's many, many more ancient ruins outside the confines of the Roman Forum, which we're going to visit after the Circus Maximus, which is right around the corner. Let's try to cross the street here. In Rome, there's a lot of places without crosswalks, and you kind of just have to walk with confidence. They will stop for you. They will give you way in most places. And here, ladies and gentlemen, is Circus Maximus. And no, it's not named after an emperor named Maximus. It's named because it's huge. It's to the maximum extent. It's the largest circus ever built. But before ever was a circus, it was a Colosseum. Right behind the Roman Forum. So if you've ever seen a film like Ben-Hur, is probably the best example. It takes place in this type of circus. Probably, I think Ben-Hur, if I'm correct, was exactly at the Circus Maximus. This used to be a coliseum. Imagine all elevated and the seats built underneath. Hey, the seats built underneath. Oh, I think there's a little child taking a pee in the bush. Luckily, he wasn't in frame. Anyways, Circus Maximus used to be a structure, and we see parts of the structure down here. Right down there. And Michelle, it's a nice day in Rome. It really is. Imagine that times 10. All around this entire huge stretch, ending over there where you see the concert stage, all the way to that end. $300,000 people was the capacity of the Circus Maximus. Now, city of Rome in ancient times, when the Circus Maximus existed, had a population of 1 million people. It was either the first largest city or the second. It kept switching back and forth with certain cities in China, in the world. So it was among the largest city in the world at that time. 300,000 of those people might have come and visited a game that was going on, or a huge chariot race to the death like you've seen in movies like Ben-Hur. That's insane to think about. And yeah, in Naples, they don't stop for anyone. That's what I've heard as well. So I'm excited to show you a Facebook Live of Naples. Trees are as iconic as the architecture. I agree. There's something about these Roman trees that are very particularly Roman. You know, we've been to other cities, Paris, New York, and London. Don't have the most iconic trees. You know, New York has the maple tree. London also has the maple tree, so it's not really specific to New York. But here you have these trees that are very specific to the city. And yeah, maybe other nearby cities have them, you know, Tivoli or Turin or other places like that. But when you look at them, you think about ancient Rome. However, this was when gladiatorial battles and chariot races were at its height. But where did it all begin? Where did the very first hand-to-hand combat to the death ever started in the city of ancient Rome? Well, for that, we have to go just 5 minutes this way. Let's go to the Forum Boreum. You could spend days in Rome, so much history, beautiful architecture. If only those trees can talk. Indeed, imagine all the things they would say. Oh, yes. Oh, look, there we see Victor Emmanuel Monument, which I visited about 5 days ago. And we saw the view of this place from Victor Emmanuel Monument. And right there is the Roman Forum, coming back here October 16th. And yeah, it's a Mediterranean tree. However, when I went to Athens, I did not see these trees. If you've been to any other major city in the Mediterranean, let us know if you've seen these trees. I haven't been to southern Spain yet, so maybe they're also in southern Spain. You've never been inside that monument? Oh, interesting. Debbie, well, you can see the Facebook Live of the Victor Emmanuel Monument. We're making our way down to the Forum Boreum. But first, before we go to the Forum Boreum, let's learn about the mouth of truth. Water fountain. Great for refreshing up. And the water comes out very cold. It's amazing. Highly recommend drinking from those water fountains. It's very safe. It's very clean. People don't put their dogs to lick from them like New York City. So yeah, it's a very clean way to get water, especially in this very hot Roman weather. Debbie, yes, you could go to the Victor Emmanuel. We did 5 days ago. Check out that live stream. It's open to the public, and I'll be posting an extra 360 video of their museum, the Italian nation. Oh, cool. Brenda says they're stone pines and umbrella pines. Oh, yeah, you're right. They are pine trees. I assume they're growing here more plentiful because we're a little bit in higher elevation. Did I go to St. Peter's Square this morning? No, I did not. It was going to be extremely crowded, so I decided against it. Wanted to research for this broadcast today. Oh, you have a lot of those in Cyprus. Oh, awesome to hear. Okay, everyone, prepare yourselves. If you've been a liar recently, I would recommend against visiting the mouth of truth. Because in the film Roman Holiday, starring Gregory Peck and Audrey Hepburn, Gregory Peck was playing a journalist who needed to get a good story. And a princess of, I think it was a made-up nation, I don't think it was a real nation, played by Audrey Hepburn, was visiting Rome. And he found the perfect opportunity to kind of woo her in order to get a good story from this princess. The thing is, Gregory Peck's character was a complete and utter liar. But he was investigating a story where Audrey Hepburn's character, the princess, was also telling a big lie. So they came over here to the mouth of truth, located in this church, Santa Maria de Ordizon. Let's visit La Boca de Bertia. Let's go over here. Scusi. Grazie. So right here is the mouth of truth. In the film Roman Holiday, Gregory Peck challenges Audrey Hepburn to put her hand inside. But why did he do that? Well, it all started in the Middle Ages. Because in the Middle Ages, they used to hold trials here. They had people put their arms inside this mouth to see if they were being a liar or not. Apparently, there was an axeman behind this statue, and once you put your arm inside, if they found you guilty before you ever did the trial, they would smash your arm, cut your arm, and you would come out a very bloody, handless person. However, later on, the myth continued of people losing their hand if you were a liar and placed it inside. You would be bitten by this ocean god, Oceananus. And people used to place a little scorpion right inside so it would bite the occasional visitor. There, the myth continued on until Gregory Peck challenged Audrey Hepburn's character to put her hand inside. And she hesitantly put it in. She was okay. But then Gregory Peck puts his hand inside and it gets caught. Once it gets caught, Audrey Hepburn's character panics, and Gregory Peck whips out his hand. However, he's wearing a very long sleeve shirt or suit, and he pretends that he lost his hand, and he pulls it out and says hello. So here we have a very long line of people just like putting their hands inside this sculpture. However, where is the sculpture from? Well, we did see a fountain that looked just like it. So a lot of people believe it's a fountain, but who is it depicting? It's apparently depicting either a river god or the god Oceanus, who is kind of the ocean god. I'm actually waiting if one of the guards does a little thing he does all the time. He did it when I first came here earlier today. But I think he's on break, so we'll keep on moving. Scusi. So the guard, ever occasionally, there's no longer a scorpion, and luckily there's no axemen. So no one has ever lost their hand in the past at least 100 years. However, the guard still plays the trick in order to keep people on their edge. So every so often, as people putting their hands and taking that selfie, he screams something. I don't know, something in Italian. He screams very loud, almost like, oh no! And people get frightened and whip out their hand. However, this is only one major attraction or major thing of importance inside this church. Because this church holds the remains of a very famous saint, a saint of lovers. So Santa Maria in Cosmiden. And Santa Maria in Cosmiden, very old church. Part of it dates back all the way to the 600 AD. It was built within the ruins of the nearby Ark, which we're going to visit as well. Actually, not the ruins of the nearby Ark, but it was built inside the former Herculaneum complex, and the crypts of Herculaneum still reside underneath. However, many, many years ago, centuries ago, back in 300 AD, Christianity was still not allowed to be worshipped in the Roman Empire. So Christians had to worship in secret. They didn't have access to these beautiful churches. They had to go underground. However, as they went underground, there was no way, it was hard to consecrate marriage according to the Catholic religion. But something else happened. Emperor Claudius, he ended up taking control of the Roman Empire, and with the iron fist, he decided to shape up the military. And by shaping up the military, he outlawed weddings, marriages. No soldier can get married under Emperor Claudius. He wanted a chaste army. This made a lot of the Catholic soldiers who were secretly Catholic panic. So they ran to a priest that was consecrating marriages, but in secret, underground, the Appian Way of Rome. That priest ended up becoming Saint Valentine. And Saint Valentine's remains, after consecrating a bunch of marriages, his skull still remains here. Now, there's actually 3 Saint Valentines. This is one of 2 Saint Valentines from Italy, and there's also a Saint Valentine from North Africa. No one really knows for sure if they're all real, or if one of them was real. However, the myth of all three have been combined into what we know today as the patron saint of lovers, and St. Valentine's Day is the official day of love. Helga, patience. We are showing the school. We'll show the floor soon. So the crypt is directly down there, and you can go. All you have to do is give a small donation. They don't actually set an amount, so you can give a few coins. However, there's no service at all underneath that crypt. So supporters, stay tuned for a bonus extra 360 video of the crypt. So 600 AD, 300 years after St. Valentine was officiating all these marriages. Oh, ooh, there's also St. Valentine from Greece? Interesting. Hello out there in TV land. I love the skull relic, very cool. I'm glad. Okay, let's keep on walking around and let's go across the street. This is yet another Santa Maria. I think this is like the 5th Santa Maria we have visited. There's a lot of Santa Maria's churches here. And am I going to do it myself? The line is very long, so I can't do it on a live video. So I'll show you Santa Maria from the outside. It's pretty breathtaking. The tower was added later around the 1200s. I wonder if the circles on the floor mean something. Well, the circle has always had kind of this symbol. It's always been the symbol of divinity. Because all things are kind of circular. The circle, since it has no edges, it continues on forever. It's infinite. It's almost unmeasurable by at least ancient math. So the circle always had this symbol of being divine. Unlike the square or even the triangle. The triangle ended up being associated more with the Trinity. And here we have the Forum Boreum, right in front of these fountains that were installed, I think, around the 1500s. But the Forum Boreum is very interesting because this dates back to 100 BC. But what was here before 100 BC, back in 246 BC, was the very first gladiatorial battles right here in this location. The first official ones. Now, why is it called Boreum? Well, it's called Boreum because this ended up becoming the forum for selling cattle and meats like pork and other types of meats. And that's why it's called Boreum. However, there wouldn't be chicken, because chicken did not exist in ancient Rome. Chicken came later from Southeast Asia. So, cattle and pork. And right in front of us, we have an even older temple. This temple dates back to 400 BC. Can you show us the Tholos, the round temple? Ooh, which one are you referring to, George? Is it inside the Roman Forum? There's also a St. Valentine buried in Dublin. Yes, those are one of the 3 St. Valentines. I'm not sure which one, if it's one of the Italian ones or the North African one. But that St. Valentine, it's contentious whether the skull that we just saw is real or the body in Dublin is real. As with many relics, no one really knows for sure if it is the actual person. But the church likes to think so, at least. The church where they house the relic. Because it does drive, at first it drove pilgrims and now it drives tourists. That's a city tour driving those bikes. Yeah, I think people were using segways and they're also using bikes as well. Oh, I didn't. Interesting. That's also called Tholos. However, cool thing about Rome, it's like most other cities. Let's cross with determination. However, a lot of people know about Santa Maria de Cardisone. People do visit these two ruins, but almost no one goes here, around the corner. One of the reasons is because it's locked off. Now, why is it locked? Well, first let me show you. One of the only four-sided triumphal arches in all of Rome, the city of Rome. These arches are very rare in the empire overall. And it's quite interesting to look at. But why is it fenced off? This is the Arch of Janus. Janus being one of the gods, but this was most likely built by Constantine, or built for Constantine, in about 200 something AD. But why is it fenced off? It's a beautiful arch. Most arches are either in view or they're inside the Roman Forum, which is paid entrance, but you can still get close up to them. Well, back in 1993, a car drove up right over here between this church and this arch. That car was being driven by one of the Casa de Milan. These men were the mafia. And throughout the 1970s all the way to the early 90s, the mafias were having war here in Italy. They wanted to keep their domain over various businesses, like the trash business. So something happened, and I don't know the full politics behind it. However, they came with the car. One of the men stepped out, walked away, and as he walked away, the car blew up. Luckily, it barely harmed the church, and it barely harmed the Ark. However, 5 people ended up being killed. One of them, unfortunately, was a Moroccan immigrant who was just sleeping at one of the benches. And since then, they've kept this arch locked away. Now, why did they want to blow up this particular church and this arch? No one really knows. However, they also tried to bomb the Lateran Church, which is another very pivotal church of the Roman Catholic religion. It used to be the home of the Vatican across the city of Rome, before the Vatican was ever the Vatican. But behind this ark is possibly an even more interesting ark. An ark that barely any tourists know about. This is really off the beaten path, even though we're only a minute walk away from the main attractions. And the story that this ark tells of an emperor that went maybe a little bit too far. Look at these beautiful streets. Let me know where you're watching from, and let me know, what's been your favorite ancient ruin that you have bumped into as you're visiting a city like Rome? It's crazy to think how much old architecture is all around. Because, in New York City, I always get very amazed by architecture in the 1700s. It's probably the oldest that we've seen in New York. I think we've seen something a little bit older. We've seen something from the 1600s. But I'm always amazed. I'm amazed just coming here to Rome. Everywhere we look, we have architecture that is as old as 400 BC or 100 BC, 400 BC, 200 AD. Those niches look like they housed figures. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm not entirely sure where they are. Now, this also used to be part of the cattle market. And in medieval times, vendors used it because it was great shade. There's not that many trees here that provide a lot of shade. So they needed to take cover under these huge ancient Roman structures. Otherwise, their meat will melt and it would not be good. The catacombs were amazing, though. I'm so glad. So here we have the Ark of the Money Changers, or the Arch de Aventine. Aventine is the money changers, the money lenders. This ark was assimilated into this church, St. George. St. George dates all the way back to 400 AD. But this ark is even older, dates back to 200 AD. But there's something very interesting about this ark by the money changers. Let's first take a look over here. And too bad it's closed off to the public. Yeah, we can't get so close up to it. But look at this. Look at the very far... it's having a hard time focusing. Look at the very far left. There's two figures here. It's a father, a mother, but someone's missing. That staff, or whatever that is a part of a larger figure. That larger figure did not fade away. It looked like it was removed. Here, at the Ark of the Money Lenders, we have yet another figure that was removed. We have one man right there, but the other one, nowhere to be seen. Again, he wasn't faded away because it seems like he was chiseled away. This was made in honor of Emperor Severus. Emperor Severus ended up dying shortly after this ark was finished. In the very last days of Emperor Severus, he co-ruled with his son Caracalla. However, Severus died. And he gave co-rule, his half of the co-rule, to his other son, Geta. Caracalla and Geta were only 1 year apart, so they were very close in age. They grew up together. The thing is, Caracalla did not want to share this rule. And he was very suspicious of Gaeta. Because Gaeta was very good at getting along with the army. He constantly had the company of soldiers, of centurions, and also of athletes. Also, Gaeta hung out with private personal bodyguards. This made Caracalla very suspicious. However, Caracalla also adopted his own bodyguards. And they had talks about splitting the empire in two. Gaeta would take everything on the other side of the empire, the Eastern Empire, and then Caracalla would take the Western Empire. However, their mom convinced Caracalla not to do that. They continue to co-rule Rome together. Caracalla called for a meeting. He called for a meeting hosted by his mom inside his mom's room to talk with his brother. Now, with this meeting, they were to come in without bodyguards or without any arms. This seems safe to Gaeta because, it's a meeting with his mother. What's the worst that can happen? So Gaeta obliged, and he went inside. And as Caracalla stepped inside, his mother and Gaeta were right there inside the room, already chatting. Caracalla closed the door, and as he closed the door, approached Gaeta. Two centurions, on behalf of Caracalla, rushed inside towards Gaeta. And as Gaeta was scared, he knew something was up. He ran towards his mother's arms, screamed help. His mother couldn't do anything, and the two centurions stabbed and killed Gaeta. Gaeta was dying, bleeding profusely right in his mother's arms. He was screaming, "Help, mother, help." But his mother couldn't do anything. She was unarmed, overpowered, and her other son was the one who asked to kill the other son. Caracalla killed Gaeta, but that didn't end there. He forced his mother not to at all shed any tears for Gaeta, not to have any funeral for Gaeta. But how did Caracalla get away with this? Because, spoiler alert, he ends up ruling for about 6 or 7 more years. Well, Caracalla went up to the Senate and he said, my brother was trying to conspire to poison me, and we have to take care of all the conspirators. This was a complete farce. But also, he cited the very founding of Rome, because something was wrong with Rome. A lot of brothers were being killed. There was a lot of fratricide. A lot of brothers were being killed. A lot of family members were being killed constantly. This was not the very first instance whether one emperor killed his own kin. This happened with other people like Nero, who killed his brother Britannicus. This also happened with many other emperors. But why? Well, it goes all the way back to the founding of Rome. Right when the two main brothers who were taken care of by a she-wolf, and this is myth, no one knows what's real about this story, but the founding myth of Rome is that two brothers, Romulus and Remus, were raised by a she-wolf. And Romulus and Remus came upon this land of Rome. However, they wanted to both rule this new-found land. But there was two brothers, there was only one throne. So Romulus killed Remus. The very founding of Rome started with fratricide. Caracalla went over to the Senate and said, my brother Gaeta was conspiring to kill me, poison me. And also, Rome was founded by fratricide. I was in full right to consolidate my power and kill my own brother. The Senate wasn't too much in a position to say anything, so they just obliged and say, okay, Gaeta was responsible, but we'll allow you to get away with this if you deify Gaeta. Deify means raise him up to the level of a god. The thing is, a lot of the Senate already liked their father Severus. He was very well respected. So they didn't want to disrespect Gaeta despite the rivalry that they had, the deadly rivalry that they had. So they end up, here Gregorian chants. We're going to go inside there soon. They end up getting together and then, so they didn't want to, they couldn't do anything, but they also didn't want to disrespect Gaeta, the son of an emperor that they respected. But Caracalla said, no, we have to kill all the conspirators of Gaeta. So Caracalla ravaged all of Rome, searching for anyone who had any acquaintance with Gaeta, killing them off or exiling them. Some estimates say he might have killed 2,000 people. Some people say he might have killed up to 20,000 people. Centurions, athletes, singers that used to sing about Gaeta because they knew him, poets, people who used to go to the tavern with Gaeta. He killed everyone. This was a part of a move called Damnator Mori, Damnitu Mori, which means damn his memory. And by doing that, he also erased all traces of Gaeta in any type of public work, including this arc of the money changers, where people with chisels chiseled out Gaeta to be forever erased from history. So there is no more Gaeta here. There's no Gaeta anywhere in Rome. Never to be seen again. No one even knows what he looked like, because Gaeta was erased by his very, very overpowering brother. Oh, a dove. So what happened to Gaeta? What happened to Caracalla? Well, Caracalla saw Alexander the Great as one of his top inspirations. He wanted to conquer the world like him. He wanted to go east. However, as Caracalla conquered nation by nation, he went to Parthia and tried to settle an alliance. This alliance would be established by marrying one of the princesses from one of the kingdoms in Parthia. And he had a wedding. But during that wedding, as he is hanging out and celebrating with all these Parthians, the Parthians are people from, I think, the modern-day Syrian area, he called in his soldiers. Now, to the Parthians, whenever you have a wedding, it's a place you don't bring weapons. Obviously, why would you bring a weapon to a wedding, especially the start of an alliance? None of the Parthians were armed. Caracalla gave the order. The Centurions, just like they rushed in to their brother, they rushed into the Parthians and killed all of them on his very wedding day, including his to-be wife. Caracalla's power was unbound. And one day, as he was continuing to conquer more lands in Parthia after killing an entire village of Parthians, he stopped by the road. And by the road, he was doing his business, squatting down, doing his business. A centurion came right behind him. And as Caracalla was doing his business, the centurion slashed his head off. He killed Caracalla. Why? The centurion was pissed off that he wasn't elevated in rank. It was a personal vendetta against Caracalla. But I think it's a rather poetic end to this madman. The only way he would die would not be in glory, in glorious battle like Alexander the Great. Or Alexander the Great actually didn't die in glorious battle. But at least Alexander the Great died in his bed. Caracalla didn't have that honor. Caracalla died while taking a poo. That said, let's go inside this church. This church dates back all the way to 400 AD. Let's take a look inside as they're actually singing. Perfect timing. Perfect timing. This is St. George. And there's a concert. I'll be very quiet. There's some Roman markings. Another red wedding. Did he kill his own mother too? No. He traveled with his mother. There was very lewd rumors about his relationship with his mother. And he held his mother in a tight leash. Always had her with him. And he forbade her to ever talk about Gaeta ever again. And she had no choice but to oblige. So she never talked about Gaeta. However, she was called Augusta. And by being called Augusta, she was an empress of sorts. Here we have a little heart. Now this is interesting. I wonder how old this heart is and if it dates back to the Latin times of this original stone slab. And if it was this a marker of St. Valentine's secret officiations? That's just a theory of mine. I like that theory. Let me know what you think those hearts are for. I'll show you the church. So this is now Santa Maria. There's a very old mosaic, also dating back to around the 4th century. All right, my ride has arrived. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Unfortunately, they're not singing anymore, but thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this broadcast of these lesser known ruins behind the forum. Stay tuned. We'll be exploring more places like Trastevere, the Jewish Quarter, Colosseum on the 16th, and then later on we'll be going to Naples. Stay tuned every day at 3 p.m. Rome time, 9 a.m. New York City time for daily history broadcasts until the 21st. And if you want to lend your support and get access to extra content, you can become a supporter right down there. You get access to extra tours, especially 360 videos, where I'll show you more of these places in Glorious 360 so you can look any direction you would like and you get access to them a month before. Or you can leave a contribution at paypal.me/Ariel Vieira. And those contributions help me to have data and have the time necessary to research all this history so I can give it to you in a nice awesome 1.5 hour video, or sometimes a little bit more jam-packed in an hour. Thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, wait, I gotta show you this. I love Gregorian chants. Pause the ending. Okay, pause the ending. Yeah, yeah. Ah, that was beautiful. I'm going to enjoy a little bit more of that Gregorian chants. There's very low service in that church. So thank you so much for watching. Keep being awesome and always keep on exploring. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye. Arrivederci, amici. And be sure to not kill your own brother and take a poo. Have a great day, everyone.